to go ahead and get started. Everybody in line, feel free to stay there. Anyone who doesn't have food, feel free to go up, get a plate. Let's eat while we talk. This is very casual. So I want to first thank Berea College and thank the Student Government Association for having me. This is very casual. So I want to first thank Berea College and thank the Student Government Association for having me. I really okay. Just let me know if I need to be louder. But anyway, my name is Shauna Rudd. I am a licensed clinical social worker from Lexington. I have been a social worker in this area of Kentucky for about 10 years. And we'll get to this all a little bit later. I'll talk about it in more detail. But I'm actually running for Congress in this district to unseat Andy Barr. Woo! He sucks, guys. Seriously. If not me, anyone else, he's awful. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today is my progression of events, how I got to running for Congress. I'm a regular person, not a politician. But I do want to start off, I want this to be a conversation if possible. I want to hear from you guys. I want to talk to you guys. So whenever, probably anyone here today saw this flyer, and in it I'm talking about systemic issues, and the title, it doesn't have to be this way. So what are some things that you guys are passionate about? Some issues that you care about a lot where you see that the system is failing?
Prisoners having the right to vote in prison.
Prisoners having the right to vote in prison. So right now, you cannot vote if you are a felon or if you are incarcerated. Is that right? That's what you meant? And so somebody who is an American citizen, especially somebody who has paid their debt to society, not being able to vote. That is a system in place that makes it to where there's a humongous group of Americans that are not able to vote. And so that's a system in place that prevents people who have very specific needs from being able to vote for the person that would help them. Is that kind of what you meant? Yes, thank you so much. Anybody else? A system in place.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. Sunil, elaborate just a little. I know you're making a play. What do you mean? How is the healthcare system not working?
We don't have single payer.
We don't have single payer, guys. And so, I could talk about that for 1 hour. I am a psychotherapist. I bill insurance to see my clients. Everyone that knows me in real life hears me complain about insurance all the time. Single payer would solve a lot of my problems. I won't get into this. Anthem Insurance owes me personally upwards of $10,000. That's a conversation for another day. But yes, both of which we've got incarcerated individuals or even people who are no longer incarcerated, who are felons, are not able to vote, who do not have access to selected representation and the healthcare system. So many Americans do not have access to healthcare. Both great examples of systems in place that do not work. Alright, so I want to start this off whenever there's somebody I don't know who's talking to me and wants me to listen to what they say. I always say, who are you and why should I believe you? So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Breathitt County, Kentucky. It's probably about an hour and a half east of here. It is one of the regions of Kentucky that was ravaged by the coal mining industry. Whenever I was in elementary school, that was around the time a lot of the people that I went to school with started to lose their jobs. But I was really fortunate in the fact that my dad was a tobacco farmer and my mom worked for the United States Postal Service. So we had all of the things that we needed and some of the things that we wanted. We weren't wealthy, but we had what we needed, and I was very privileged to have that. And I grew up in an environment of consistent love, support, encouragement. It wasn't just my mom and my grandma are actually here. Well, Danny's not. She's around so she's getting Waffle House. Anyway. But it wasn't just that I received love and support from my immediate family. My community really helped raise me. It wasn't uncommon that my mom might drop me off at her neighbor's house and I'd hang out with them and their kids. And I knew how to read before I even went to school. And it was because of the people in my community and Nanny who would read books to me and do flashcards with me. And it was, part of the reason that I felt so taken care of. And I'm always going to be grateful for the way that I grew up, and I do feel like I was raised by a village. It's one of the things I love about Kentucky, and I do feel like we take care of each other here, and community matters. And then when it was time for me to leave home, I left at 18 and I went to Eastern Kentucky University, and I was kind of exploring around, seeing what I wanted to get my degree in, what I wanted to commit my career to, and I took an intro to social work class, and it just made sense. It was a caregiving role. I grew up with a lot of privilege, a lot of love and support, and now that I'm away from home, I'm meeting new people. I realized that wasn't the standard experience for everyone. I realized that most of the people I was meeting were not raised by a village. And I felt because I was so fortunate to have that and I had all of these opportunities, now it's my time to give back, right? And so I've done social work, again, for about 10 years. I've done case management. I've worked in nursing homes. I've done school-based social work. And for the last 5 years, I've done psychotherapy. After I went to EKU, I went to UK and I got my master's in social work as well with a clinical focus. While I was in school, I got a job at Buffalo Wild Wings, where I proceeded to work for 7 years. Even after I graduated, I would do social work by day, I'd go do social work at 9 a.m., and then I would go and close down Buffalo Wild Wings at 1 a.m., and sometimes the next day I'd do it all over again. And in spite of that, I was not rich. I was making it by. And meanwhile, during my day job as a social worker, I am working with underserved and marginalized people. And especially in my role as a case manager, if you guys are familiar with case management, it's really my job for anyone that has a need. It is the case manager's job to connect them with the resource that they need. So I work with homeless people, I work with foster youth, I work with people in chronic poverty, people that were at risk of losing their houses, and it was sort of my job to help connect them with the resource that they need, right? And so here I am working 2 jobs, working with underserved communities all day long, and it started to feel after a while, after a couple of years of doing that, I know you're not. Mary, this should not be your job.
Then they go down to your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your family, your friends.
Hi, this video is from my thing. I handled that well.
You did.
Where was I? Okay. So anyway, after a few years of working in a case management role, I started to realize that I was working with all of these people who were doing everything that they were supposed to do. They had jobs, they were working with professionals, they were showing up for their appointments, and we would have some victories, right? Like, I would connect some people with some really great things. I remember one family in particular that I worked with. It was a single mom with 2 high-needs children, and they didn't have a car. So they had to take the bus everywhere to all their medical appointments, and I did my social work thing. I called 1,000 places, and I got this family a car. The Catholic Charities of the Diocese in Lexington just gave this family a car. And that was a great feeling. And, I remember the day that, this family, I could try to talk about it, this family and, her 2 sons saw this car, and they were playing in this car, and, they knew what this was. And that was such a good feeling. Everyone at my agency was so jealous. They're like, Shauna got her client a car. And anyway, that was great. But a few months later, there were problems with tires, there was maintenance that needed done on the vehicle, and the car sat in the driveway undrivable. And it is because at the end of the day, even though we'd had this great miracle and this big break, they were still poor. And they did not have the resources that they needed to sustain this progress. And I became very frustrated. I was frustrated with the systems in place. I felt like I was acting as a Band-Aid to a solution that the people who really had the power to fix weren't working at. And I am working my ass off every day to get things for these people, but really the system in place does not allow them to succeed. And so a few years after I had done case management for a while, I started to get really active politically. I went to city council meetings, I checked the Congressional.gov website weekly, if not several times a week, because the bills and laws that are put into place directly affect the resources that I'm able to give my clients. And I was very loud. I contacted my representatives a lot. And then 5 months ago, when the genocide in Palestine began, I really put it into overdrive. I called every one of my representatives every day. I called Mitch McConnell. I called Rand Paul. I called Andy Barr. I even called Hal Rogers and Thomas Massie, even though they're not my congressmen. There was one day where I called 30 congresspeople all across the country because I was so disgusted with their decision to censure Rashida Tlaib. So this next part, also at that time, I had TikTok for a few years. I had maybe like 100 followers. They were just people that knew me in real life. I'd post like a silly video maybe once a month. But at that time, whenever I'm calling my reps, I'm like, I'm gonna talk to you 100 people. And so I started posting videos of myself calling my representatives, and it really took off. And so again, 5 months ago, I had 100 followers on TikTok, and today I have 12,000. And I was not prepared to be perceived in that way, but I want to share with you, let me pause this. This first video I'm going to show you is one of the early ones. I think it's back in November. This is me calling Andy Barr's office and speaking with a staffer. And as you watch this video, I think at the time I still had a little bit of hope that when I called, they cared about what I said, they were writing down what I said. But anyway, I'll let you see what happened. Hi, my name is Shauna Rudd. I just called a minute ago, but I forgot something that I wanted to include in my message. I want to ask Andy Barr to consider the words that his fellow Congressman Jerry Nadler said after the proposal of the bill 894. Jerry Nadler, longest standing Jewish member of Congress, said that anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. There are people in Israel who are anti-Zionist. There are rabbis who are anti-Zionist. There are Jewish people who are anti-Zionist. Being critical of the Israeli government, of the tyrannical government, is not anti-Semitism. The Israeli government is making the Israeli citizens unsafe by their reckless abandon for their citizens and the safety of everyone in the entire region. And I forgot to say that earlier. Yeah, thank you so much. Do you actually mind to read that back to me, please? I just want to make sure that you got what I was saying.
Sorry, ma'am, we don't read messages, but I do have your message.
No, I mean, I just want to make sure, like, if you'll just give the highlights, I want to make sure that my message is getting to the congressman as I'm intending it.
Sorry, ma'am, we don't read messages, but I do have it. I'll be sure to pass along.
How long is it? I'm worried that the information that I'm saying is not being conveyed to the congressman. Well, can you please tell me what my message is so that I can tell you if it is what I intended? Sir, these are my own words that I just said to you, that I'm assuming you wrote down on a legal pad in front of you. What did you write? What are you going to tell my congressman that I said? What is the message that you will be giving the congressman from me? You're going to, I don't know how, he hung up on me. This is going to be the most important video I've ever posted. It was crazy. So it began. But yeah, I mean, at the end, you can really, I was truly about to cry. My lip was quivering. It was so astonishing to me that he did not even write down the resolution number that I was calling about. Can somebody tell me what time are we at? 12:30. It's 12:30. Okay, I know a lot of you guys have class at 1, so even if the presentation's not over, if you need to go, do your thing, no big deal. But this next video I'm going to show, I think this was a couple months later. I was feeling pretty sassy at this point. This video actually got about 3 million views. Has anybody seen my TikTok before they came here today? It's weird to be perceived. Whenever I come to Berea, people are like, I know you from TikTok. And I'm like, wow, that's cool but weird. But anyway, in this video, I am actually not speaking with a staffer. At this point, I've been calling every day for months. The staffers know me. I know all of their names. And I have been trying to schedule an in-person meeting with Andy Barr. And so in this video, again, I'm not speaking with a staffer. I've been escalated to the scheduler. Her name's Mary Rosado. This woman makes $200,000 a year. So yes, I am passionate in this video, but I just need everybody to keep in mind Mary makes $200,000 a year, and we do not need to feel sorry for her. I know you're not. Mary, this should not be your job. I feel so sorry for you right now for having to talk to me. If I were you, I would not want to deal with me. No one wants to deal with me. Everyone wants me to stop calling. Everyone wants me to send an email instead of call, but no one responds to my emails. Yeah, and not you specifically, Mary. I'm not mad at you. I know this is not about you. You've been very kind to me. Someone is going to have to deal with me. Someone is going to.
I mean, you need some people to talk to. I hear you. I mean, I have a niece in the military. I have a niece in the Army. I know I have concerns. There are lots of things. What the president did yesterday, I am absolutely aware. But, there's a whole thing about
Sorry, I should have gave this context earlier. What I was calling about, I can't remember the day, but the day before I made this phone call, Joe Biden unconstitutionally bypassed Congress to take military direct action in Yemen. We dropped overnight, in one single night, 200 bombs onto residential neighborhoods in Yemen, and we are deploying our armies, our American troops, to go out. Essentially, I mean, don't make this official, but in my mind, what I see this as is the beginning of World War III. And that's what I'm talking to Mary about. I'm sorry I didn't do that earlier.
Is technically war. The president, you can like it or not, has something called under the AUMF, the ability to act unilaterally, and that is a debate in Congress about whether or not we renew the AUMF. Mary, you have a lot of back in there.
I know that. You're not telling me anything that I don't know. I know that there are some people who say, oh, this isn't officially war. This is military action, but it's not war. When our army, when my brothers and sisters...
It's technically the law, so...
I know it's technically the law, and that's why I'm calling my congressman who writes the laws. That's why I'm calling my congressman. Mary, yes, you can, but I really don't.
Can I finish what I was saying?
I already know. But you're telling me, you're not telling me new information. I already know this. That's why I'm calling the man who votes on the laws, my congressman. I know that that's what the law says. I know. You're not telling me something I don't know. Who am I supposed to talk to if not the person who writes and votes on bills? Who else can answer my question? I was sufficiently mad at that point. I can't remember if in that video or not I had already thought about running for Congress. Was that supposed to be a surprise? Everybody that's here knows.
Then they go back to your mom, your dad.
In the name of time, we won't watch this video, but this is a video I do edit of someone talking about compromise. I won't get into it. It's just the idea that if you run for a position of power, that they'll come after you, dig up dirt on you, dig up dirt on your family. And essentially me in this video is, I'm just saying we have to be brave, we have to be bold, we have to be able to sit in the same room as the worst things that we've ever done and approach ourselves from a place of compassion. I mess up all the time. When I run for Congress, especially if I get past the primaries, they're gonna pull out some stuff about me that's embarrassing. And we all have that. And I don't care. And, I'm a different person now than I was 10 years ago. I truly don't care. If I did it, I'll atone for it. I'll tell you what happened. But essentially, that's what I'm talking about in this video. And I also included a text from one of my best friends, Dana. She's a speech and debate coach. She helped me practice for this today. But it was just me giving her updates, some direct action items. And, in it, I'm just saying, I'm really looking for anyone who doesn't take back money to run for Congress. I'll vote for them. And they just never did, and so I had to do it. And so this is just kind of showing the process of me deliberating. I don't really want to run for Congress if I don't have to, but can somebody good do it? But then guess what, they didn't. I am Shauna Rudd. I'm standing here in front of the Capitol building in Frankfort, Kentucky. I have my completed paperwork to file. I have my checkbook, and I'm about to go file to run for Congress against Andy Barr in the 6th District of Kentucky. So, wish me luck! My name is Shauna Rudd, and I just filed to run for Congress for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 6th District of Kentucky. Notarized, baby. I paid that $500 myself out of pocket. I had to pay $500 to do that. I'm American. But yeah, I also included a couple of things. I am an official ceasefire coalition candidate. My friend Mike Harbaugh, he's running for Congress in Ohio to unseat Mike Turner. Also awful, bad dude, head of foreign affairs. He's a disaster, you guys. We've got about 30 members in the ceasefire coalition right now, and it's anybody who is running for Congress in America. I am the second signer. I'm the second picture on the website, really proud of that. And I'm also an official term limits pledge signer. So I started saying that if I enter Congress, that I will write and vote yes on resolutions that limit terms. So that is 3 2-year congressional terms for the U.S. House of Representatives, 6 years total, and 2 6-year senatorial terms, so 12 years total. And that goes for me too. I'm doing this one time. I tell everybody, you guys have me for 3 years. I'm doing a year on the campaign trail. I'll serve my 2 years and do a great job, but I am a social worker. I'm not a politician. I'm gonna keep the seat warm for whoever's next. And maybe it's you guys probably won't be 30 by then. I hope it is just another regular person. More than I care about winning, I care about regular, degular people need to run for Congress. If they have the privilege that I do to be able to do this, that's really my message. That's really what I want to happen. And so here I want to talk about what we can all do. This is the inspiring part, right? And so not everybody can run for Congress, nor should we. Then we would have an oversaturated Congress market. We wouldn't know who to vote for. I'm very, at this point in my life, I'm 30 years old. I'm very aware of what my skills are. I'm a good communicator. I am a very strong advocate. And I'm shameless. I will ask anybody for anything. I don't care what the answer is. I don't get embarrassed. I will ask. And that skill set lends itself really well to running for Congress. Frankly, the social work skill set and the Congress skill set, there's a lot of overlap. Can somebody tell me what time we're at?
12:38.
12:38. Okay, cool. That's not going to be everybody's skill set. And everybody in this room has hundreds or thousands of things that they are good at. That frankly I'm not good at. I'm not good at everything. To know what your skills are. Where do you gravitate when there's nothing to do? What are the things that interest you? What is the feedback you get from other people? Do your friends call you when they have a bad day because they want to talk? Do people call you whenever they have a question that they could easily Google because they just know that you'll probably have the answer? All of these kind of show you what your skills are. It's really artists, editing, caregiving and emotional support, technical writing, research, anything, listening to music, anything we do as a coping skill, anything we do to cope with a hard time. Oh my gosh, guys, this is part of social work. It's a strengths-based perspective. Everyone has so many skills. Again, just think about if I lived in a world where I didn't have to work a job that I hated for money, what would I do? And that's your skill set. That's what you're good at. And after you have identified your skill set, that's when you do something with it. And so again, I know my skill set, I'm using it to run for Congress, but you can start by volunteering, joining small groups, direct action groups. There's so many here in Berea. We're actually, if this is something you're interested in, we meet every Thursday at 5:30 for Berea for Palestine. We do lots of direct action. That's a great thing to get involved in. If you want to even just be okay, I'll put my toes in and see what I'm good at. And also part of being a good change maker and a good advocate or activist is knowing what you're good at and knowing what you're not. I've seen this so much in the activism space, is everybody wants to be good at everything and they want to control everything, but sometimes the skill in itself is just knowing when someone else is better at something and I hand the reins over to them. Somebody made this presentation for me because I don't have an artistic eye. I'm not good at that, and that's okay, and so I delegate. So also recognize whenever we need to be more skillful and someone else is better at something than we are. And I wanted to include this poll. It's from a Discord server that I created a few months ago that's about the liberation of Palestine, and it's a skills poll. And so I had all the members of the group react to this poll based on what their skills are. So we have researchers, social workers, we have people who can facilitate groups, musicians, people that are just here to help, graphic designers, cybersecurity, people with legal knowledge. And so based on what these group members voted on, whenever I have something that needs to be done, I reach out to all 19 of these people. And I say, I have a research project and you guys are good at this. Or if I need a social media post, I'll reach out to my graphic designers and I'll say, hey guys, we need a social media post for this. Can somebody make this today? And they always can. Because these people all took the time to say what they're good at and how they can help. And we do direct action items all the time. Even people who aren't me can go and look at this. I mean, we've got 14 writers in the group, guys. Whenever we need something written, I mean, there's somebody in this group who is going to court to try to like plea out of, it's a long story, plea out of this crime that they should not have been convicted for. And like they have to, write letters and get letters of recommendation. And they reached out to every writer in the group because they're like, I have a third grade education and I don't know how to write this. Can you guys help me? And probably 10 people are helping them get their documents together for court. And that's what it looks like when communities support each other and when people work together and when people are aware of their skills. All right, so that's the end. Hopefully, like everybody has at least kind of been thinking, like, what are the things I'm good at? What is the thing I care about the most? And how can I put those two together? Does anybody want to share an example of a time where they've used their skills to work towards something important to them? Can I throw this at you?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I mean,
I'm
don't
scared.
throw it.
That's why it's like this. You're supposed to throw it.
Oh. Is it? Oh, I thought it was heavier. My name is Anya. I'm pretty good at filmmaking and editing videos, and I'm also very passionate about advocacy work for Ukraine and Palestine. I'm Ukrainian myself. I'm an international student here in Berea. So last summer I utilized my videography skills to help this nonprofit organization that works in lobbying for Ukraine in the White House and the government. And I made a couple of videos for them, edited for them, and I was interning with them all summer, doing a bunch of things related to this skill set of mine to help my country.
You said your name was
Anya.
Yeah, part of my family is in Germany, but my mom and my
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. All right, anybody else who's brave enough? How can you use your skills to help something that's important to you? Or how happy?
I'll go.
Ooh, okay. This is Holly. She's my Gold Star volunteer.
Yeah. So, I have like severe social anxiety. However, I have found ways to help Shauna's campaign. And that doesn't require me to go out and knock on doors, that type of thing. So I would just say, like, if anything that you're passionate about or you want to change about the world, like, if you feel like you can't, or you're like, just, I don't know, you're just one person, whatever, just, I don't know, do it anyway and be accommodated, just find a way to contribute where you can,
Absolutely. Thank you, Holly. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is doing the thing that scares you, even though it scares you. And that's Holly. Holly's working so hard and she's putting herself out of her comfort zone. And that's an amazing, I'm gonna cry. And I appreciate her so much for that. But I'll wrap it up here, guys. I know you guys are at class. But if anybody wants to learn more about me, you can go to my website. It's Shauna, SHAUNA, 4, Congress.com. It takes money to understand car, but college people don't have any money, and that's fine. But if anybody wants,
I was just gonna say, I donate $4 a month to her campaign. I'm broke as heck. I'm
tell the truth,
unemployed.
Holly. How much do you donate to my
I donate $4.20 specifically. but it's if we all did that, that money adds up. So
It's true. I hate it. I don't have any money either. But money makes literature that gets votes, and the USPS, as much as they love me, they won't mail my stuff for free, so we do need money. But even when people don't have money, Holly volunteers her time. She drove me here today. Not saying you have to do that, but if anybody wants to go to my website, there's a volunteer form. Even if you have an hour a week, 30 minutes a week, if you want to help me out, that would be awesome. Does anybody have any questions for me? And if anybody wants to find me afterwards and ask me questions, that's cool too. I'll be hanging out here until 5:30 when the meeting, well, I'll probably go somewhere. Anyways, tangent. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Shauna.
Okay, it's just over. Bye, guys.